It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with certified financial planners Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being here, friends. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners on the program. And with me in the KFG studios, my business partners and fellow CFPs, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory.
How much of your retirement income should come from guaranteed sources? We always say that a successful retirement is about flexibility, but it's also about steady, predictable income. So how do you balance these two seemingly competing forces? We're going to cover that and more on today's episode.
And even that term, guaranteed income, that's a buzzword. That's you got to be super careful because it doesn't. There's not a lot of things that you can say are guaranteed in life, and we're actually going to hit that. So how do you define that? But really, how do you have confidence in your retirement income plan and peace of mind? We're helping with that right now. If you have a question for the program, we'd love to hear from you. You can call or text us 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Online wisemoneyshow.com is where you can submit questions, and of course all over social media. We get a lot of questions on the YouTube channel. Wherever you're at, we are there as well. Search the Wise Money Show. Your retirement income, it happens intentionally. It doesn't happen by accident. If you show up to retirement and just think, okay, well, I guess now I'll turn on Social Security and I'll just start withdrawing dollars from my investments, but you haven't been planning intentionally along the way, it's likely dollars are slipping through your fingers, going too much to Uncle Sam. It's possible you're drawing from the wrong accounts, from the wrong investment types. It's possible that you're drawing out too much, maybe even too little. If you haven't built out a successful retirement income plan, it's hard to have peace of mind, clarity, and confidence.
Yep. Man, don't you love some of my favorite retirement stories usually involve someone who has optimized their income. You know, maybe it's Social Security. They've played the game well. They've postponed. They've fought against the crowd and just following along what everyone just naturally does. And they came up with a plan. And man, the difference is so huge. The people who have those steady streams of income that are going to roll in whether they get out of bed in the morning or not in retirement, I don't know. I just get excited for them. It's fun to see them winning in those later years of retirement.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because the question is, do I need a ton of guaranteed income? And again, we're always very careful when we use the G word because you say, well, what is it that guarantees income?
Yeah,
you
right.
say, well, the full faith and credit of the federal government. And when I started in the business in 1994, there were lots of folks that were saying, hey, listen, show me my retirement plan without Social Security.
Yep.
Because I
didn't trust it, huh?
Well, they were confident that by the time they got there, it wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Little did they know that the printing press would not be exhausted for a long time. And so there are other things. I've seen clients that had pensions. So a pension in theory is the ultimate guaranteed income. And when the steel company's pension is taken over by the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation and they get a fraction of what they were planning on, or in 2008 and 9, if you were clergy, we had some clients who said, hey, listen, we are unilaterally making this change. You're going from $3,000 a month in your pension to $2,000 a month in your pension.
Yep.
And if you don't like that, we're sorry, but we believe this is better than you going from 3,000 to 0.
Mm-hmm. And then there's even certain financial instruments that are offered by insurance companies that they can use the G word. And yet they're not immune from financial hardship, and those those payments could certainly change based on their own financial stability. And so the question came to us that we're answering today is how much of your retirement income, of my retirement income, should be from guaranteed sources. But I think just to step around that G word, steady income.
Yeah.
And I would
predictable or promised income.
And so how would I define that? How would we define it? Where the amount is, the money's going to show up on the same day every single month. It's like clockwork, okay? And it's going to be the same amount or an adjusted for inflation amount, and it's expected to last as long as you live. Okay, so you could say, well, wait a second, does that include just I'm taking $2,000 out of my IRA? Well, no. I mean, maybe not. But an income source that is a fixed amount on a fixed day and it's going to last as long as you last, that's what we're referring to.
Yeah, and it is implied, because we're talking about retirement income here, that this is not income that you have to go work for.
Yeah.
Right? It's showing up whether you've done anything to make that happen or not.
As we weave towards answering the question, I first want to just highlight something that a lot of financial professionals that maybe wield the concerns of running out of income or you needing income, they wield that as the primary focus because they're focusing on investment tools as opposed to a financial planning process. I want to point out the trade-off that oftentimes, other than Social Security or if you happen to work in a government job, have a pension, oftentimes when you're looking at, well, I want more steady income or stable income, you're giving up flexibility. You're giving up choice. You have to commit a certain amount of dollars and say, well, instead of just drawing these dollars out when I want them in an amount that I want, or to have flexibility with my tax strategies or whatever, I'm giving up that flexibility and that choice for turning this source of this asset into an income stream. Those are competing forces. A successful retirement has choice and flexibility in it, but you also need steady income.
Yep, I agree completely. I was even just thinking of an example of that choice that is being made where you mentioned annuities or products that are created by insurance companies. A lot of times you're taking a lump sum of cash that you have built up and you have as a resource and you're trading it in for a stream of income out in the future, but you are giving up the ability now to control that lump sum, right?
Yep.
And these are decisions that sometimes are irrevocable. Sometimes you can make some pretty major mistakes this way. And so, boy, if there was ever an example of a financial planning question that you want to be covering with your certified financial planner, it is how do you structure your income and how much of it should be these steady, predictable streams of income versus flexibility. Because if you give up too much flexibility, you might actually make your plan not work or the probability of success decline too low.
Yeah, and when you earlier you were talking about stories, the stories of people that had successful retirements. I mean, the favorite storyline that I've seen many times over is not even the folks that built up this massive guaranteed income stream. It's the folks that meticulously cared for their balance sheet so that their need for guaranteed income is not as big as it would otherwise be. Because if I get right up to the doorstep of retiring and I still have a house payment left, I've got a car payment or two, I've got the other house that I wanted to have, and I've got a mortgage on that. All of a sudden, what I need in guaranteed income is pretty meaningful, and if you can either eliminate or minimize that, man, does it make a difference.
Yeah. So there's definitely a trade-off, and Josh, you took it right where I was going to go. I don't know how you make this decision outside of a comprehensive financial plan, and not just a glossy presentation from someone that's trying to talk you into something. No, like outside of a financial plan where you're actually talking about, all right, what are your income sources and the rest of your dollars? What's the income need off of those dollars? And how do you structure that so that you have confidence that these dollars are going to last for your entire life? And then where is their margin? What's your tax strategy? What's the estate planning implications? I don't know how you would make a wise choice on structuring your retirement income outside of the context of a financial plan.
Yeah, otherwise it would just be the slickest sales presentation on some product that gets you more guaranteed income. And I love what Kevin said, though. What if there were things you could do to make sure that you don't need as much guaranteed income? You have flexibility, and it actually drives the probability of your plan working up.
And that's where you want to work with someone who is selling a process, not a product.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to look far for the people that are selling the product.
Fiduciary, process-driven, comprehensive financial planning. All right, still, now we're getting to the question and the answer. How much of your retirement income should be from these steady sources? We've got that and more coming up on The Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is The Wise Money Show. What you're watching right now is our weekly 1-hour talk show that airs right here on the channel, 10 a.m. Eastern time every Saturday morning, also on podcasts at the same time, and also on a couple local radio stations at the same time as well, which is why the content structured the way that it is. We have commercial breaks and all that sort of stuff, bonus content for you. But we've got Next Wise Step videos that air all throughout the work week right here on this channel as well. Well over 1,500 videos taking any financial concept really that you might be facing towards, well, financial independence or budgeting or tax planning, and providing helpful content to you so that you can take your next wise step in your financial life. And so make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you're made aware every time we drop new content. If you like the content, share it, leave questions, comments as well. We appreciate it. All right, so answer the question, and then we can talk about the benefits of Social Security. We already sort of touched on the other.
More?
No, you just
Way down.
You turn it way up there.
Hello. Test. Keep going down.
Down a little bit more.
Test.
Yeah, it's probably good. Thank you.
What, was I still ringing your ears out?
Yeah.
Is it both of us, or is he just a little bit
That
more
one
hot
was
on
both
that
of us. So I'm not sure what Lindsay was doing over there. She's horsing around with this phone.
Yeah. So the volume of feeding the video and the audio, but then the volume, it's separate. Like,
Right.
yeah. All right, here we go. So we already sort of talked about the different approaches. So really answer the question, the unique benefits of Social Security, and then the personal pension plan. Like, how do you create that steady income stream? That's what we're hitting in this segment. It might flow over into the third segment and then get into other listener questions.
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. What's your retirement income plan? It should be giving you peace of mind, not, I'm not really sure exactly. And that peace of mind should come from, I know how much I'm getting consistently from each source, and I know that it's enough and that it fits within my retirement plan. It's sustainable. That's the work you need to be doing with your CFP. We're helping with that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Josh Gregory and Kevin Korhorn. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on podcast. Wherever you listen, just search the Wise Money Show. Subscribe to it there. Rate the program there as well. We appreciate it. Answering a question from fan of the show, how much of my retirement income should be from guaranteed sources? And that G word is a really touchy one for fiduciaries and in this world, and really anything from the full faith and backing of the government could even be considered non-guaranteed, especially if that G word is being used by an insurance company. Who knows if that insurance company will be around for 100 years or as long as you need it to. So instead of the G word, we're going to talk about steady income. Income that's going to show up the same amount, maybe it's adjusted for inflation, on the same day and will last as long as you need it to. All right, so here's the answer. Let's get into it. How much of that, what percentage should be from those steady sources? I'll share a little bit. Early in my career, I remember reading from PhD in academia in personal finance that your retirement income should be structured like a triangle, and your base needs, that is your fixed expenses that are going to show up every single month. Kevin, you touched on this. These are choices you make, car loans and mortgages and those sorts of things. That's going to rain or shine. You got to make those payments. So those are your base expenses. And then the middle part of the triangle, that is your, yes, some of them are discretionary, but they're still needs. Grocery store, going out to eat, vacations, travel. Like, yeah, there's some discretion to them, but still you would say that category is necessary. And then the tip of the triangle, that is all just wants. That is the luxuries. You know what? I don't need to go out and get a coffee every day. To me, you want to know mine? Going out to breakfast. And my kids are always like, they give me a hard time. Dad, we never go out to breakfast. We love breakfast. We never go out to breakfast. Do you know how cheap it is to get to eat cereal compared to going out and paying for breakfast? It's a cup of coffee is a dime, but when you go out, it's $3. And so, yeah, I love breakfast. I don't like going out for breakfast. And in retirement, I probably will. But that's my kind of silly one for tip of the iceberg. And so I saw it laid out that way. I thought that was very helpful. And then this academia PhD said you should have 2/3 of your income sources. So basically that base of the triangle and the middle part should come from steady guaranteed sources, what he said. And I said, you're living in the past, my man. That's just not possible.
Or he's just revealing how conservative he personally is.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe he just wants to know that all of his most basic needs and some of the most basic wants are just covered. He doesn't have to wonder whether or not the resources he's accumulating are going to help to cover it. And then, as you said, if there's 3 different tiers to this triangle that you're describing, the top tier, that top third or whatever, if those are purely discretionary, the fun things, then someone who's that conservative might say, well, that's the only burden I want to put on my retirement nest egg.
Yeah.
My retirement assets, I don't want to put that much pressure on them.
Okay, so to me, and this is where you can't live by rule of thumbs, and you certainly can't make some of the biggest choices of your financial life, when to retire, how to structure your income, how to optimize Social Security based on a rule of thumb. But that first third, I would love for that to come from those steady sources. And that, will it? Okay, well, are you still going to have a mortgage in retirement? Are you going to have that second house? Some of your choices today will influence it, but I would love for those basic needs to be handled by those steady sources of income. I would then love for your investment portfolio, through all the stress testing and sustainable withdrawal rate analysis, to cover that middle section, no problem. And if you're familiar with the 4% withdrawal rule, that's a rule of thumb as well. But hey, like a 3% withdrawal rule or 2.5% withdrawal rule would also cover that middle chunk. And then up to that 4%, or when your stock market, when your investments really perform above and beyond, that's where you can look and say, hey, it's still good to go on that Charleston trip this year. Yeah, everything's great. You know, that sort of thing.
Well, that's the key then. It's to have some sort of a mechanism to know, are we outperforming the plan, and is this a year where we do some of that extra discretionary spending? Because we're on a nice run with our investment portfolio. We've got a tailwind. Let's do the extras that you're describing. To me, the only way that works is if you have a mechanism or a rhythm within the year that you're sitting down, hopefully with a certified financial planner, and you're evaluating. How are we doing compared to our overall game plan, and making those types of decisions? Some people get to retirement and it's like it doesn't matter what the investment world is doing. We are taking that trip. You only live once, right? Yeah. Or we're not going to wait around for the investment world to cooperate and our investments to bounce back. Now's the year when we know our health is cooperating and everything is good there. We got to do it when we do it, you know? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. To me, leaving the peak as truly discretionary and recognizing there might be some things that would go in that third tier that maybe you never do in life. And are you okay with that?
Yeah.
You know, because the portfolio just didn't grow to the size that it could afford that third tier that you're describing.
Yeah, and all of this, as we're talking about retirement and retirement income and what sources are guaranteed, what sources are not, this is great stuff to be tuning into, because as I am around retired people, there are some folks that seem to be financially fairly carefree, and other folks that are throwing these nickels around like manhole covers, and they're just like, oh boy, well, I don't know if we can afford to do that, and I don't know if
making their grandkids just eat cereal.
Yeah,
when they come
not
to
go out to
visit.
breakfast. Jeez.
But it actually becomes not a whole lot of fun. I was just traveling, and where I was traveling, the data, it costs money to have data on your phone because we're international. And there was a guy there that said, well, I don't have data right now. I only use the Wi-Fi back at the hotel. And it's $12 a day to have data. But he's retired, and I don't know everything about their financial life, but one can assume. And they're fine. They can afford the $12 a day.
But that's why they're fine.
Yeah, you
right?
are who you
they
are.
don't blow money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are who you are. And
Yep.
listen, some of us eat cereal at home.
You guys are so fun.
Okay, so let's. How do you then craft a retirement income plan that gives you peace of mind, that works with your financial life, and also doesn't give up too much flexibility? I'm just thinking of staying home from school because I'm sick and I'm seeing all these commercials about I need money now, give me my money now. That comes from, well, all of my money is tied up with some instrument that will only release a little bit to me every single month. Yeah. It's important to have that steady income, but it's also, you need flexibility, you need choice. So how do you structure a wise retirement income strategy?
Well, and I think it begins by not locking yourself in exclusively. I don't know if you guys have many stories of people you've known who have 100% of their income locked in and guaranteed. And they don't like it. No,
they don't like it.
It's regretful, right? Because you don't have the flexibility to be able to adjust as life throws you some unexpected things, or you have some fun stuff that you would like to work in, but we don't have the money or a pool of dollars to go to. We have to wait for the payout to happen and maybe accumulate it there. Mm-hmm. So those folks have to be very, very disciplined with their cash flow and their budgeting, because it's all coming to them whether they want to or not. And hopefully they're just building up some savings to cover those fun things that you would put in the top tier.
So we're not just geeks. I am. But when you there's math. That's what I'm saying. There's math that can be applied to this and help you with having the peace of mind and the clarity. And we call that math. And this math leads to having and building out the retirement income plan that works for you and your financial situation. We call it the personal pension plan. We're going to share what those details are, how you can structure it, that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. All right, going into the third segment, let's share. My guess is this is 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll get into the next question. So I had a feeling it might slip into the third.
Do you want to just take it? You just rock the personal pension plan.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will need some polishing because
we'll give it a little color.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Third segment. And then, is there a question that you want to hit first?
Is that a question?
How about you hit that one first? Question. I kind of want to do the HSA one. Get a little variety. Craig.
The one from Craig.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Are you set up so that your retirement income plan gives you peace of mind? It really is just, it can be as simple as that. Or do you say, I actually don't know what my retirement income plan is. I don't know how long it will last. I don't know if I'm withdrawing too much, too little. You need that clarity and confidence. We're helping with that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Stay up to date on all Wise Money content. Find us online, wisemoneyshow.com. Then all of our social media, wherever you're at, we are there as well. Search the Wise Money Show. About to get into more questions from fans of the show, but first one we're hitting is how much of my retirement should be from guaranteed sources or from steady sources? And really, it just backs up and says, what's your retirement income plan? This is one of the biggest components of financial planning. One of the biggest is, yes, first figure out your retirement plan. Are you on track? But that approach from, hey, we if you're flying a plane, all right, I'm on track. We are directly in line to hit the airport that we're aiming for, and but we need to stick the landing. What's that landing? Structuring your assets for the right retirement income so that you have peace of mind and don't have to worry. The approach is what we call personal pension plan. That's your approach to that runway, and that is, how much do you need to live the lifestyle that you're called to? And whether that includes a mortgage or it doesn't, whether that includes 3 vacations a year or 1, whether that includes going out to breakfast or, going out to eat just once a month, whatever your lifestyle is, what is that? And then once you know that number, okay, which you should be planning on and working with your CFP on and kind of having a lot of confidence in. Once you know that number, all right, what are your current income sources in retirement? So how will you optimize Social Security? Will you have a little pension? Will you have any real estate income or other investment income that's just automatically going to be coming in? And then you uncover what the gap is. What's missing? How much? We need $3,000 additional a month to receive to an income to have the lifestyle that we want. That then allows you to apply math to your portfolio, and that $3,000 a month or $2,000 a month or whatever the number, $5,000 a month, whatever it is, 36 months of that, 24 to 36 months should be in stable, no risk, low risk sort of investments that you're just drawing out of, earning a little bit of interest, but you're confident it's there even if there's some market volatility. After that, the next 5 to 7 years should be in medium risk investments, tools that have downside protection, but also have some upside participation. There are tools available. You might say, that sounds like, too good to be true. Those tools exist today. And then the dollars that you won't need for 10 plus years, those are the dollars that have a little more variation in their return. You're allowing them to go down at times when the markets are going down because they have the opportunity to appreciate the most. That's the personal pension plan.
Yeah, that third bucket that you were describing, I refer to it as the growth portfolio to emphasize its job is to grow. These are the long-term dollars that you've already defined. I'm not touching them for 10 plus years because I have the first 10 years already spoken for or planned out. I know where I'm going to get my income from there. So the money that you're not going to touch for a while, it has to be growth-oriented. It has to be appreciating and compounding. You can't be too conservative with those parts of the portfolio because eventually we're going to burn through 10 years and you're going to need a larger pool of money that you can be converting into those same buckets that you were just describing. You need to have 3 years worth of more cash. You need to have some income producing, more mid-level risk investments. And so this idea of perpetuating your income, it begins with getting solid confidence in place on the first 10 years, and then everything beyond that, get growth, get it investing. And that might feel like counterintuitive to you, or it might feel unnatural because when you get to retirement, you might be saying, well, I want to just ease way off on the throttle here. I don't really want to be too growth oriented. Well, you need to make sure that the money that its job is to grow is positioned to actually grow.
That's right. And then once you've got that structured, so you first have confirmed your retirement plan works, that withdrawal money, that spending money that fits within your financial plan. You've done the stress test and you have a high confidence that works. Then you've structured your retirement income based on that personal pension plan. So the approach works and you've confirmed, that withdrawal amount, that income or that spending amount, this all fits. And then you can double check some of those rules of thumb. Then that would be a withdrawal rate of 3.5%. That's great. Or that would be, we've got X number of dollars that are still discretionary and liquid that we can, if something changes or there's a one-time expense, we've got flexibility and choice. You can kind of punch those different metrics to confirm that, no, this plan works, this is solid. It's from that you're going to have a lot of clarity and confidence. So, all right. There you have it. How much of your income should be from steady sources? All right, time to shift gears here. We're shifting into other questions from fan of the show. This one comes from Craig. It says, I have an HSA that I contributed to up until I lost my job. I was scheduled to put $1,400 in for the year, but I only put just over $1,000 by the time I lost my job. Here's the problem. I've already withdrawn $1,200 for medical expenses. What happens now? Craig, there's good news for you. It's an HSA, not an FSA, not a flexible spending account.
Yeah, that's right. And man, if we were in the room with you, high five for using the HSA. What an important tool. You're using it as a spending vehicle for your medical bills, and that's a great way to have your medical expenses essentially be tax-free. Because as you're putting that a little over $1,000 into your HSA, you're getting a tax deduction this year. So you're not going to pay taxes on that $1,000. When you pull the money out and you spend it for medical expenses, it's coming out tax-free as well. And if it was even sitting there for a long, long time and earning some interest while it's in the HSA, it's tax-free. So we love this tool as a tax shelter. The good news is that the timing on when you put money in and when you pull money out is way more flexible than I think maybe, Craig, you're realizing. If you're spending $1,260 this year, but you only put in a little over $1,000, then what it implies is that you've spent some of the money that was left over from some prior year.
Yep.
And that's okay. This is an accumulation type of a vehicle. You could put none in a given year because it just wasn't going to work, or you don't work for an employer that has an HSA eligible plan anymore, whatever. But the money that's already in there can still be drawn out to cover your medical bills as they come up. No problem, no foul there. You're okay.
Because the HSA is your money. It's not use it or lose it, which we still get that question from time to time. It's a great question because the HSA sort of looks and feels like an FSA, which is use it or lose it.
Yeah, and you definitely want to understand, do I have, a lot of people say, well, I have an HSA. Well, really, you have a high deductible health plan that's HSA eligible. And the question is, what can I put in it, and should I put something in it? Yes, you should. And if you're able to, get that money invested. Depends on your thing. But here's what's coming. The big, beautiful bill, and we'll see where we end up with that, but it's proposed that it doubles the contribution limits, and you'd go from $4,300 to $8,600 for an individual, and from $8,550 to $17,100 for a family. So you could put $17,000 in an HSA in any given year. The trick is there's a phase out based on your income. So this might be where if you are giving to your children, if you're grandpa and grandma and you're blessing your children or grandchildren, this might be one of the things that you're helping them fund.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if those contribution limits do get doubled. What I assume won't go away if they start tinkering with rules and everything is the fact that you're limited in a year if you stop working for that employer. Because that's something that Craig kind of revealed to us. He didn't work the whole year. I'm assuming it's here in 2025 that he lost his job. I'm sorry to hear. But you get to contribute a prorated amount to the HSA if you don't work there or if you're not covered by a high deductible HSA eligible plan for the entire year. So keep that in mind. If you're someone who just likes to dump money into your HSA and max the thing out on day one each year, and then you realize partway through that, oh, I'm no longer covered, you might have to be backing some money out.
That's a big mistake a lot of people make. I was going to mention that as well. And then there's also the last month rule as well with HSAs, where you can contribute the full amount if you have a plan starting in December, but you got to have that plan for the entire 12 months the next year. This is confusing stuff. Work with your CFP on that. All right, we got more coming up here on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Yep, good.
Okay, so we're doing questions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we have one segment left?
One segment. Mm-hmm. So next one, I'm 50 years old. Yeah, so we'll hit that one, and then we'll go up to the highlighted one. Probably be able to get both of those this segment. They're very similar questions.
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
Yeah, because, I mean, really what they're asking is, how can I know if that's the right thing, and how do I know if I'm on track? The question is, how much of that should be guaranteed?
The question is, should we go out to breakfast? And the answer is always yes.
Well, I can tell you this: as soon as we're done recording, I want to go out to breakfast.
I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, you've inspired me, Mikey B.
All right. Here we go. Yeah. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFC studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Stay up to date on all Wise Money content. Find us online. wisemoneyshow.com is where you can find us, and then all over social media, wherever you're at. We are there as well. Search the Wise Money Show. You can leave questions there as well, which is where the next question came from. Anonymous, but I'm 50 years old, and I just switched employers. I moved my old 401k into my new one, but I decided to start contributing to the Roth side of this new 401k. How do I know if that's the right thing? How do I know if I'm on track? I mean, this is like the quintessential financial planning questions, both of those right there. One, I normally say that when you're deciding pre-tax or Roth. I don't know, like that's not a coin flip. That's not I asked my CPA on the way out the door. That's not I looked it up on ChatGPT.
I asked the guy next to me at work what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he seems really smart, so I'm doing that.
Well, and there was a third question that was already answered before we got this listener question, and that was, what should I do with my old 401k?
I was going there too.
This individual chose, when you leave an employer and you had a retirement plan, you have the option to leave it there. You have the option to roll it over into an IRA and even go further and convert to a Roth IRA if you wanted to. Or in this case, this individual chose to take it with them to the new employer. I still say that's a financial planning question.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep.
Right. Because the question is, what are the investment options available to me in my new 401k? What could I do with that money in an IRA that I can't do if it's in a 401k? Mm-hmm. If it's in an IRA, I can tip it on its side and create some retirement income before I'm even retired and not pay a penalty on it. So there's all kinds of flexibility that I could have in an IRA that I wouldn't have in the 401k.
Yeah, and philosophically, that's part of the reason why if it was a jump ball, we tend to lean towards the IRA because of that flexibility. You just have more choice on how you're going to structure the investments. But sometimes we run into people where their goal in life is to be able to retire much earlier than many of their peers. And so having the money in a 401k, let's say, might give them some flexibility to be able to pull money out when they leave if they're over age 55. Yep. So it is clearly a great idea sometimes. I would just hope that you're making that decision in the context of your financial plan and you're consulting with your certified financial planner to decide which route to go. But that decision's made in this case. Yeah. And so now the question of, well, should I, as I begin to contribute more in my new retirement plan at work, should I do Roth or should I do traditional? It's a financial planning question because, yes, it addresses where am I going to invest, how much am I saving for retirement, but it's also a tax question ultimately, right?
Absolutely.
Which tax bracket are you in right now compared to where you'll be out there in retirement? How much money do you have accumulated in the Roth side of the investment world as opposed to the traditional? Maybe you're kind of playing some catch up because everything has a tax IOU to the government attached to it, and you need to be building up some Roth. We need to know those types of things, and that's what a certified financial planner is going to help you to kind of unpack and analyze with you.
Josh, so you said, but really it's a tax planning question. And I couldn't agree more. But it's not just a tax planning question because you then went to retirement planning. Mm-hmm. As you draw money out, as you project out your retirement, how much money do you have that when you draw it out, you're going to pay tax on, or could cause your Social Security to be taxable, or could push you into IRMA? And how much is tax-free? So it's a retirement planning question. You've got to do that math to see, well, what's it look like? It's a present financial position question. Because if you were contributing pre-tax and now you're going to do Roth, you're going to have less take home. And you say, no, I'm not. I was contributing. I'm doing the same percentage. No. it's not pre-tax, so therefore you're going to have more taxes withheld. So you got to be aware of that. It's an estate planning decision. If you've run the miles and done the planning and say, yeah, I want to spend my last dollar on my last day, but listen, it's, leaving an inheritance to the kids has been important. So I hope I've got enough saved up where they will inherit some. Well, how do you want them to be taxed? Right? And this decision, so right there, we're at 5 out of the 6 areas of your financial life, just in that one decision.
That's right.
So, and then I would also say that that decision can change. Not you can change your mind, but your circumstances could change. So just to add a little bit of help, other than just tell you run, don't walk to your CFP, if you think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future, maybe I just switched employers. I actually took a pay cut. I'm thinking my income's going to be going back up. Now I'm in probably in a lower tax bracket this year. Yeah, Advantage Roth. If you're looking and saying, I've mapped out my retirement, and based on our income sources out there in retirement, we could have to, pay tax on Social Security. We could be in IRMA. Whatever. Yep, Advantage Roth. If you think the market's depressed at the moment, and we're going to see a rebound here, or some green shoots because of AI or whatever else, Advantage Roth there as well. So work with your certified financial planner, but those are some times for Roth. Now, how do I know if I'm on track?
Yeah, I mean that is explicitly, your question is, how do I know if my retirement game plan is going to work, is kind of in so many words what you're asking. And the only way to answer that is by building out a retirement forecast that allows you to see, what am I likely to get to retirement and have accumulated, and what will that accumulation allow me to turn on as far as income streams in retirement? Will it meet my needs? Will it match the lifestyle or exceed the lifestyle that I'm hoping for? All of those are questions that there's no guarantee on any of it, right? Anytime that you're forecasting in the future or trying to paint a picture of where life could go, you're going to get something wrong. But that's why it's an ongoing process and an ongoing conversation, a reevaluation and an adjustment that you do with your certified financial planner. So we talk all the time about a 5-factor retirement plan. And it's those 5 factors that we always refer to that determine whether or not you're on pace or not.
Yep. And you can get started. WiseMoneyGuides.com is where you can see those 5 factors and start entering in some of your own thinking, your own approach, your own comments, and then working with your CFP, you'll be able to stress test those to see whether you're on track. Great question there. Similar question here, we're just going to tuck it in, about Roth conversion, if I'm doing the right thing. And so question for the show, I'm sure you've covered it before, but it's still confusing to me. How do I get my 401k into my Roth? I'm 60 years old. I don't have an IRA. What are the limits or best advice for amounts to convert every single year? So there's 2 ways to get money into a Roth, right? You can contribute or you can convert, okay? So if you've got money in your 401k and your plan allows for in-plan conversions, you can just simply say, I want to take $10,000 of my pre-tax 401k, move it to the Roth side of my 401k. You got to know, well, should I do that or not?
Or how much to do if it is a good idea.
But what's the problem? What's the problem in this question? And I can tell you, we've worked with some listeners, and they get an A+ for listening and paying attention and implementing. What has this person not done?
Go.
Yeah. This person has not set up a Roth IRA.
Yeah. Right.
So if you're going to go down the path of having a Roth IRA, you want to get one opened today.
Yeah.
So today, if you don't have a Roth IRA, go get one opened up.
Even if you just dump $100 into it and let it ride for 5+ years, there are lots of rules. We call them the 5-year rules on Roth IRAs. I agree with Kevin. You just need to get the clock ticking on that one.
Yep. So in-plan Roth conversion, you could contribute to a Roth IRA as long as you have earnings and as long as you don't have too high of an adjusted gross income, modified adjusted gross income. If you have too high of a modified adjusted gross income, then you're limited. Married, filing jointly, it's around $240 this year. That might not be exactly precise, but it's in that range work with your certified financial planner on that. And then there's one other way, because you said you don't have any IRAs yet. You could do the backdoor Roth strategy. Technically, anyone, really, if you had income, could do the backdoor Roth strategy, but there might be consequences to it if you already had pre-tax money in an IRA. You're saying that you don't. So you could convert some of your 401k, you could contribute to a Roth IRA, or you could do a backdoor Roth. That's another option as well. All of those require financial planning, looking at all 6 areas of your financial life to see how much and what amount and what the appropriate strategy is for you. So work with your CFP on that. All right, that's all the time we have for today. On behalf of Josh Gregory, Kevin Korhorn, all of us at Korhorn Financial Group, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.